What is it? And I still don't have the answer.
You know, we may come back to you 10 times, just like we did with nuisance abatement and tightening up different things. You know, every time that we try something, we find out there is something wrong. Every time that you create the atmosphere where it does something better for society or whatever, you're finding that there are loopholes. That's just the nature of our business. And I can't sit here and tell you that any one item is going to be the cure-all, because that would be ridiculous, and that would not be truthful, and I'm not going to sit here and do it. But I can tell you that it will help in tightening up the loopholes. Now, the antithesis of what you just said, politicians saying that they could do something, there is the antithesis of that is politicians hiding behind the other side of that coin, saying, I'm not going to do anything because the good guy might get harmed. Well, I think you have to have faith in our courts. You have to have faith in the judicial system. You have to have faith in the law enforcement community that they're going to do the right thing. You know, maybe we would make, you know, we have arrests that are tossed out all the time. Not because they were bad arrests, but because the judicial has intervened. So, you know, there are checks and balances, and this isn't the Gestapo coming in taking your guns away from you. These are guns that have been legally purchased. It does not impact people who have legally purchased weapons. We're just asking, and maybe drawing to their attention their responsibility to report this as soon as they understand it.
Understood. Thank you for that. And you know, what I would say is that, you know, if you ever want legislation passed that comes down on the bad guys, that you know, gets harder on the bad guys, you know, I'll be right there for you. Okay, I'll be there. Let's do it. Let's get legislation on board that'll keep these guys in jail and will punish the guys who are perpetrating what's being perpetrated in this community. I'm all for it. Bring them here, and you'll have my vote. But I'm not going to duck under this one and take it to the innocents in this. I don't see if there was something there, I could possibly do it, but I won't. I also want to note for the record that in the resolution there are misleading statements that I want to bring to the attention of the public. And I'll just give you one of them. There are more, but I'll give you one, is that they quote a Greenberg-Quinlan survey that 96% of Pennsylvanians favor enactment of a lost or stolen gun ordinance. I went to that Greenberg-Quinlan report, and that report took 6 legislative districts out of the state of Pennsylvania. How many legislative districts are there, Mr. Texter?
House or Senate or both? There's 203 in the House, and there's 50 in the Senate. So
okay,
253 total between all of them.
They took 6 legislative districts, chose them, the ones that fit their criteria the best, so that their number would be high, and they came up with 96%. That is a complete falsehood, and that's the way this resolution is made up. And for the record, I want that stated. So. Other than that, I don't have anything. Any other council members before we get to the public?
One last item, Mr. President. The newspaper recently also criticized us for considering this again. They said that this is a issue that's best left to the legislature, and they made it sound like we were acting upon the ordinance. We're not acting upon the ordinance. We're not putting anything into city law. We're, in fact, communicating with the legislature where it belongs. So this is, in fact, proper, and in my opinion, another mistake in the editorial of the newspaper, not in the letters to the editor. Thank you.
It sounds like you actually believe what you read in the paper.
I don't usually defend the newspaper, but I think, Camera, what happened is the last meeting, I think was kind of confusing what I was saying. I think it was like, I really want an ordinance, and I'm hoping for an ordinance, and then I decide to I'll be happy with the resolution. So I think it could be there was a misunderstanding, and that was caused because I did that. And I believe that's what happened, because I talked to Fisher and Scott, and that's what happened. But I think they clear today on the paper, and they say that it's going to be a resolution. So I wanted to thank you, Commissioner, and for all the work you've done. I think I'm going to sleep better tonight. Like you say, we can't solve all the problem, the world. Jesus Christ couldn't do it, so we can't either. But He guides us, and I feel in my heart this is the right thing to do for my people in the cities of York.
Tony, would you have any objection to taking that section out that where it says the 96% of Pennsylvanians?
Could I make a...
Strike that line.
I think it's 96% of the Pennsylvanians that were surveyed, and if it is the 6 districts, I don't know, and I don't know how they were chosen. It was not my survey, but it was done by the mayors. And I just wanted to make that as a statement. I believe it was 96% of the Pennsylvanians surveyed. It would be the correct statement rather than 96% of all Pennsylvanians.
Before we
Yeah,
remove, let's check it twice.
Shalita.
Yeah.
Shalita, where did you get that
We need to
information?
look at-
You drafted this resolution. Where did you get that information?
The resolution is based on, one that was passed recently from the Pennsylvania Council of Churches. And so I went there and I looked up the Greenberg, because they just had a survey, said that over 96% favored it. So I looked it up, and just to get the correct percentage and where the survey actually came from.
Do you know, Mr. Musso gave a description of how that number was attained. Do you know if that's accurate or not? If it was a statewide survey, or was it just 6 legislative districts?
The part that I went on didn't even say how it was taken and the statistical measures and surveying principles that they used.
Okay.
I don't think we should strike anything until we double check it, because the city solicitor is the one, and I know you know what you're doing, and before we strike anything out, I think we should double check it. What do you think, Genevieve?
If we
Carol?
were to add the word, rather than striking something, we could add the word, as Commissioner Whitman suggested. That will make it accurate and will ease my mind about our having too much overstatement in this. I think that makes sense. We just add the word surveyed after the word Pennsylvanians.
Okay. Do you got
I
that?
would say I wish this had come up at committee meeting. I wish you had mentioned it in committee meeting, Joe. But maybe you didn't know it then. But I would move that we amend the resolution by adding the word surveyed after the word Pennsylvanians
Wait a
in
second.
paragraph
The
1,
survey
2, 3.
Illustrated at 96%.
In paragraph
in
8.
favor. That's the part you want to change here?
Surveyed. She wants that
Yeah.
surveyed.
Still doesn't
Okay.
answer the
96%
question as to how many
Pennsylvania
were
surveyed.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. I mean, that's what
I
we,
can't hear her all the time from all the way there.
at least it's accurate.
more
It's
accurate.
more
not
accurate.
necessarily
Right.
accurate.
Yeah.
That was
Is
that
there a
motion?